Pity marketing is not a sustainable business model, and I wish that we would quit rewarding it.
Please, my son is getting bullied for making purses. Like, no, he's not, because he's not real.
And only 40 of my so-called friends and family have placed orders.
You can't expect your family and friends to want to buy from you. Reality check. People can't afford to buy more frivolous things. There's a specific formula that has taken over TikTok. A sad elderly person, sad piano music, a caption saying nobody's buying their goods, and a shop link. And what you, scrolling past, don't know is that the clip is often stolen. The product is wholesale, and sometimes the person doesn't even exist at all. Today, we're covering pity marketing, and these videos will make you question everything you've ever felt guilty about buying. So how did emotional manipulation become so normalized online that most people, even you, can't recognize when it's happening to them? Let's get into the video. So what even is pity marketing? In the context of social media, pity marketing is when a creator, seller, or brand deliberately tries to use guilt, sympathy, or emotional manipulation to pressure you into making a purchase. Let's start with the stuff that is clearly not okay. POV, your grandpa realizes his business is failing. And of course, there is sad music that is playing, but I don't know if I'll get copyright struck, so not gonna play it for you, but it's as it is in any of these videos that you see with the elderly, right? This looks like a real video to me of an actual elderly person. I don't know whose likeness that they're stealing, but it sounds like his business is failing, so you should feel bad about that and go ahead and support him in his business that seems kind of odd that he's selling. Like, do you really think that grandpa's making these rip-off Uggs? Like, be so for real, these little rip-off Ugg clogs or whatever kind of shoe they are. He started making shoes after getting fired from Ugg. He worked there for 45 years. I mean, men can be into shoes, men can be into making purses, but I don't think he's making this product, honey. And if he is, then I am boo-boo the fool. Grandma's surgery, but the sales aren't so good. They're using video from some random grandpa. It either could have been stolen from their social media. It could also be AI. At this point in, the AI journey, I am not so good at telling something is AI, but we'll get to AI in just a minute here. But as you'll see, they're trying to sell this item, which you can see probably on Temu or Alibaba, where you can buy it for like $2, and they're selling it for a hefty profit. And do you think grandpa's really making do you really think that grandpa is making little tiny purses for your headphones? Really? They are cute though. But my 82-year-old neighbor, Judy, just started selling her t-shirts on TikTok and Instagram and is trying so hard, but is barely getting any views. And so this sort of pity marketing, I think, really struck gold. And I don't know if I really could call it pity marketing. It's more so this girl got onto TikTok and is like, I really think that this woman should be making more money from the shirts instead of how much she's making, and she's not getting any sort of views. So I understand where she's coming from for making this TikTok, but it got 5.4 million views, and the reception was absolutely fantastic. Like, apparently Lufe, or that Icelandic singer who has the bossa nova, she reposted this. Paris Hilton, as you can see, also made a comment, and you'll see the reception here is not to be dramatic, but I'd die for that shirt. And then Paris Hilton has like the sweetheart eyes. Lufe posted, literally our queen, there should be a senior citizen creator fund with lessons on how to use the TikTok. I love that. And algorithm. This is so cute. And like, the shirts are fine. They're, in my opinion, nothing to call home about or, be dramatic and die for them. But if it is genuine, good for them. But that's where a lot of the elderly sympathy videos have come from. Now let's get into AI. Why would anyone want your son's stupid handmade crochet bags? So if you're looking at this video right now, you should be able to tell that it is an AI video. However, upon, first glance, if you just look at it paused, right, it looks like an actual sad video of a mother and her son. And what kills me about this video is if you watch and see where his workshop is, I'm sure plenty of people have their workshops outside, but it's like not in the garage, it's right on the driveway of the garage, which is, by the way, a very terrible spot to put a workshop. So that's one way you can tell that this is AI. I don't have any of the audio playing from this video, but it's clearly the AI voice, She's like, please, my son is getting bullied for making purses. Like, No, he's not, because he's not real. What gets me the most, though, are the comments. Young man, you're about to be very rich. Keep up the good work. 100. Best crochet totes I've ever seen. How do I purchase? Maybe they're the best crochet totes you've ever seen because those aren't real. They're literally based off of perfect crochet totes. These comments are killing me. Exactly. And everyone else, as you can see, aren't really getting the hint here that this is AI. Again, I did not play the audio for you, but if you heard it, you would be like, oh, you know what? I've heard that voice before. It sounds a little robotic. But the issue with this, and I'm not gonna like show what the people look like, but clicking on their profiles, a lot of these people, and no offense to you 40 and plus, because you guys definitely didn't have this technology, neither did I, but you guys are falling for it the most. You know, the one that said young man, he looked like he was in his 50s or 60s. You know, no way he should be selling these for only $29.99. No, these are beautiful. She's in like her 40s, 50s. We need to use discernment a little bit more. Unfortunately, in this day and age, you can't really trust people anymore.
Merry Christmas, or at least I thought it was gonna be. But here I sit refreshing my store's order page, and I don't see anything to sing praises about. It's been 18 months since I started Michelle's Shells and Bells, and only 40 of my so-called friends and family have placed orders. I know. I think I don't need to remind you that I quit my salaried job with health benefits to do this because I know I was put on this earth to attach bells to oyster shells and dip them in epoxy and glitter.
I understand this is a skit. These are skits, but people really do. Unfortunately, people do this against, you know, their better judgment, will quit their job. As someone who was burnt out at her corporate job and quit her job in order to really just follow her dreams and become a YouTuber, I think I'm kind of getting it, right? I don't really beg people to subscribe. I just say, hey, if you like videos like this, I post them twice a week, so hit that subscribe button. But I'm not selling you anything, right? So I'm really just, I guess now an employee of Google, I suppose. But going out on a limb and becoming a small business owner is probably one of the most lonely journeys that you can have. And not everyone is going to understand your logic there. If you really do want to make a belt of oysters or whatever it was that she was saying in this skit, go ahead. If there really is a market for that, there's a market for literally anything. You know, people, there are how many people at this point? Do we have 7 or 8 billion people? Everyone's different, everyone's unique. Somebody will buy from you. If it's a reasonable price, maybe more people will buy from you. But you can't expect to guilt your family and friends because they're probably not your audience. I'll tell you what, my family and friends don't watch my videos either. You know why? Because they don't care to hear my opinions at all. So thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And then I think there's also this shtick too that we're gonna see in the next video. It's like their marketing tactic to be satire, petty marketing. You'll see what I'm talking about right here.
Please! Guys, if we hit 300K, JT will give us money. JT will give me and Tessa some money if we hit 300K. Do you want us to be poor? If we're poor, we can't afford costume. No costume, no prank for JT. No, I put that on the company card.
So this is from Craft Mix. They sell like craft beverages. I don't know if they have alcohol in them or not, or if they're just like mocktails or something like that. A lot of their marketing is just them asking the audience to buy stuff, otherwise they're gonna face major repercussions. So I didn't even know where to put that in this pity marketing, so I thought I would just put it in skit, but it technically still is pity marketing. What do you call that, pity marketing, if you're making a satire pity marketing? But if you come across it for the first time, you think it's pity marketing, I don't know. You let me know your thoughts. So now let's get into some real pity marketing here. How I feel spending every last penny I have on my small business just to get 0 sales. See, now I would say this for me is a really good example of short pity marketing, because now you're going to check out her store. You're like, oh, I feel so bad. What did you spend your last dollar on? Your last penny, your last cent on just to get your small business going, and you have 0 sales. For me, when I think that and when I see this is, and this might be a little bit mean, but you spent your last penny on your small business and still no one bought it. Is it even worth getting? It almost acts as a counter marketing tactic. It's like negative marketing. Okay, you spent all this money, you invested a lot of money into your business and still no one wants to buy? That's completely normal, but now you're telling us that no one wants your stuff. I would never pay that much for a candle, and of course they're showing how much work actually goes into creating candles. Now, I think creating candles was a business that really started up in like 2019, 2020, especially when small businesses were booming the most, especially with the expansion of people using TikTok. They're like, yes, I want candles. Candles are so freaking expensive, but there is a lot of time, effort, and you know, buying these things in bulk. To buy probably one of those little candle holders, it could be like $5 to $10 just for yourself to buy, whereas they could buy these in bulk and get a better deal. It depends what you want to do, but again, I would never pay that much for a candle. At least they're trying to show why you should pay more for the candle, but it's still kind of pity marketing. Growing your small business just for your own friends to not support you. Now, this is a different kind of pity marketing because it's almost like a jab, right? It's almost like a jab to your friends and family because they don't want to purchase something from you. I don't know about you. I've never actually had a friend that started a business. If anything, it would be me starting a business and selling to them, but I never tried to make them feel bad for not wanting to support me. They always tried to support me, but I would make things that I think that they would want, such as baked goods. I was selling in my high school. I would sell baked goods in the cafeteria. Thankfully, the teachers did not really care that much because you definitely shouldn't be doing that. And with cottage laws, whatever, you know what, statutes of limitations have passed. That was back in high school. That's more than 10 years ago now for me. You can't expect your family and friends to want to buy from you when it's not something that they want. You need to market to your target market, to people that actually want to buy from you. If I am selling, my own version of Bratz dolls, and I don't want anything on like, gender politics here, but I'm not really going to target men, okay? I'm not going to be targeting grown men if I'm making Bratz dolls, okay? Will some grown men buy Bratz dolls? Heck yeah! But who mostly would be buying that? Parents for their children, for their daughters more specifically, or even grown women. I know some of you guys still have your dolls, still love dolls. I wish I loved my dolls as much as I did as a kid, but I gave them all away. I guess I grew out of it. I just went on to different things. It's Friday and I have made 0 sales this week. Look at her, so happy. $250? Are you serious? Mind you, she is making bottoms or leggings, and $250 for leggings. Are they made out of gold? Maybe it's because $249 is insane. Again, you can get upset with people, right? You have every right to be upset, but again, price things reasonably. I hope they're sustainable leggings, not made from polyester, because $250 is kind of expensive for leggings. But especially complaining to your audience, this is where I get that annoyance, right? Your audience does not care. They will buy whatever they want to buy. Some of these people aren't even your audience, right? And some people don't understand how much money small businesses should charge, right? Like this comment here says, if you have a small business, you should have small business prices too. I don't necessarily agree with that. You need to have the small business quality that is expected, right? They should be handmade. In this case, I don't know if they're handmade, right? They could be wholesale leggings, and that's their small business. So then people don't understand that with small businesses. It is very hard. It's very tough. I'm probably not explaining it that well, but more than $200, that's like even more expensive than Lululemon. So the next few videos that I show you are going to be in what I call a more gray pity marketing section, because you understand exactly why they're doing this, but it still feels like they're trying to get sympathy buys. Everyone glorifies being a small business owner on TikTok with beautiful aesthetic videos, but no one talks about how much it hurts when you go days without making a single dollar. This was me today, where I only had one customer and they left without buying anything. And for me, it's kind of like, it would be better, and this looks like a brick and mortar store. I don't know if they're a part of a market and there's, it's like an indoor market, or if this is their own store. But if you have your own store, at least make sure that you have like online sales. Maybe you own the building, but even then, make it so that it's worth it. But I do believe, right, this is more so in the gray area of pity marketing, where it's just, it's hard not making a single dollar at all. Have you noticed when there's a worldwide recession and cost of living crisis, people just don't have the money for these things anymore? You'll get through this, love. So there's people who are like, hey, reality check. People can't afford to buy more frivolous things, such as the candles I was showing, right? You can't just buy non-necessities. A candle's not a necessity, right? So if they are priced too much, or that's unreasonable to someone who would normally buy candles, they're just gonna forego those candles, maybe go to the Dollar Tree, or what is it now, like the freaking $5 tree at this point. On the bright side, there is still support that's given, but it's not necessarily going to get them more sales, right? Like, you've got this, liked and followed, it's good for your morale, but is it really gonna get you sales? Didn't sell a single thing at my first craft fair. The other vendors noticed too. What a bummer. But if you look at what they had, it didn't really seem like anything too special. That's the thing, is especially now that haven't we been in an economic crisis for like a couple years now, but it's not really announced. I don't know, I'm not an economist, but it feels like, the dollar's being stretched very thin. It's not a necessity, so people really don't want to buy this. They took pity on me and got me some fries and a little pep talk. Very sweet of them. Maybe next time. Aw. At least the vendors were sweet to you, and You got some fries, so that's nice. I think I'm gonna go get some fries too. That sounds really good. I'm so hungry right now. And so now we're going to get into what I would say is not pity marketing whatsoever. It's more so just showing the reality of what business owners have to face, especially the small ones. And at the end here, I really want to sort of drive it home on why it is so difficult to be a small business owner and why the frustrations in pity marketing, especially in that sort of gray area, it's understandable but won't sustain your business.
Some not so great news. If you've been waiting for the 3XL hair claw restock, for every 10 of the 3XL hair claws, 1, maybe 2 are actually good and the rest are all defective. We did a deeper quality check, and after getting some emails of this breakage happening to customers who ordered the 3XL claw clips, the manufacturer admitted that their workers were not paying attention and not putting in good work to these hair claws. We didn't meet the 100 color minimum order per color, but I've been ordering like 70 to 50 quantities per color for years, and there's never been an issue. They did apologize. They might refund me for this. We're still counting and waiting to hear back. And get this, they've canceled all my future orders. They just said that I've had so many issues with them and they don't want to continue working together, which is fair. But like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, I don't really want to complain because this is like small business life. Sometimes I feel like it's 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. I promise I'm working really hard to find a new supplier so that we can finally bring back our 3XL hair claws the right way. At one point, they were all perfect, so I don't know what happened.
Right, so this, again, is not even close to pity marketing, although it's, you know, her relaying sad news about her business. Her manufacturer not only broke up with her business, just was the reason for the breakup, right? It's not you, it's me. Having those defective claw clips to that great of an extent is incredible. 80 to 90% of those claw clips were busted and broken and just horrible. That really sucks. But again, that is just not even necessarily a marketing tactic, but showing, hey, this is why we're struggling at the moment right now. This is why we might not be able to sell to you at this point. This is not normal small business life. This is a manufacturer taking advantage of you. Exactly. Get the refund. It's not your fault. Don't be shy and drop the manufacturer's name so we all can review and make them do better. This is not right. Not them gaslighting you. Girl, get your refund. Exactly. Saying, oh, we've had too many issues together. Awful. Horrendous. And then you'll see as well in the comments here where there's another small business that can sympathize and understand, right? My manufacturer tried to tell me that it was my fault for placing small orders when they weren't even making a profit. This was after they started making several mistakes and didn't want to refund me. Despicable. So remember, if there is maybe lower quality in the small business, there is another business that is probably screwing over that small business. Now, how the small business being screwed over handles that issue makes this go from pity to understanding.
We were open from 10 to 7 p.m. today and not a single customer came in the entire day, so let me try to convince you to give my bakery a chance. I'm 24 years old and I specialize in macaron cakes that go from this to this to this to this to this to this and to these. I also make cupcakes like these, which are all made to order, and for the fact that we ship those cookies all across the US every single week.
So what I like about this is she started off, you know, it sounds like it's going to be, you know, pity marketing. I didn't make any sales. I had low sales today, but then really showed you who was watching why you should buy from them. Did you see anything in there? Now, maybe if you're not a sweets lover, which good for you. I wish I had your lack of a sugar tooth. I love sweets like crazy. There is nothing there that I would not want to buy, to be honest. That, especially that Nutter Butter. Ooh, I love a good peanut butter dessert. That is really convincing you. That was the marketing there. So if you are someone that goes to resort to pity marketing, this is the best way to spin that, right? Instead of, oh, woe is me, say, hey, this is why you should buy from me. I make nothing but the best macaroon cakes. Look at that. It looks delicious. You don't want it? Look, let me show you some additional proof. Like, hey, I ship these out as well. So you watching at home, yes, you can buy it. Absolutely brilliant way to switch it up.
Story time of how somebody spent $378 on Etsy for this Jumbo Triceratops and I only made $55 from it. I listed the Triceratops for $225 because it cost $80 in materials alone and took 14 hours to make. For those of you who don't know, it's crocheted, each stitch is made individually, it cannot be replicated by hand, so it takes forever, which is why it's $225. The shipping on it was $138 because she's a big girl, so she takes a lot to ship, and the buyer paid that. And then there was also tax that the buyer paid as well, bringing our total to $376.80. This is the same page, but I just minimized things so that you can see this part. This is the earnings breakdown that Etsy gives you whenever somebody places an order. And it doesn't have the shipping cost up on it yet because I haven't paid for the shipping label yet. But on top of the regular fees that it took out, which was $48.67 in the transaction fees, the processing fees, and this tax that I never really had anyway, which doesn't really matter. But they have this offsite ad fee that I didn't know I had. Essentially, offsite ads are just something that Etsy automatically signs you up for that I had no idea about, and they show all of your products or some of your products to different places like Google, YouTube, wherever they can advertise. If you make less than $10,000 a year, you can opt out of Etsy offsite ads, but I didn't know that, and they take 15% if somebody purchases from an offsite ad, on top of the fees that they already take. And if somebody clicks on an offsite ad and then shops within 30 days at your shop, then the order is attributed to the ad and they will take 15%. So on top of the $48.67 that they took, they also took $54.50 out of the order total, which if you add it together is $103.17. If you also take out the $138 that they paid for shipping, then the total fees now come out to $241.47. Factor in the $80 I spent just to make the Triceratops, and we are now looking at $321.47. So if you take all of those fees and the order total, $376.80, and subtract them, we are left with just $55.33.
Which is insane, right? At least she is making a profit, which is great, but to the fees that are on Etsy, right? So it sounds like she's making over $10,000 in revenue, which is absolutely fantastic. However, it sounds like Etsy automatically enrolls you into offsite ads. If you didn't understand that explanation, essentially just go and type in something that you have been wanting to buy recently. For example, I've been looking into Keurigs because I made the mistake of thinking that they were like over $200 when they really cost like 60 bucks. And if you click on, you're in Google, you're in Bing, I don't know who's using Bing, but go off, do you. If you look at Keurig, you're probably going to see the first line is going to be an ad to whatever merchant, such as Target, Walmart, whoever sells Keurigs. And then it's going to say like ad sponsored or something like that. That's going to be the top link. That is the Google ad or the Bing ad or the whatever browser ad that they paid for. And once you click on that ad and buy something, the seller now pays a portion of that profit to the, like Google ads, Bing ads. So then you lose money that way. And it sounds like it's 15%. That's insane, right? It's good you're making the sale, but 15% is hefty. And then the actual fees itself. So the transaction fee, that's a lot. Payment processing, that sucks. At least the tax is paid by the buyer, which I don't know when taxes aren't paid by the buyer. And then shipping costs, that's a bummer. Again, with the shipping cost though, it is paid by the actual buyer. So the $376 is a little disingenuous. It would be more closer to that $200 mark, but it's still a lot. The shipping costs can make or break your sale. At the end of the day, being a small business is really difficult, but if you have to guilt someone into buying from you, it's probably not going to work and you need to switch up tactics. As we were seeing in those videos where it showed, I didn't make any sales, but this is why you should buy from me. Example with that bakery. Or, hey, my manufacturer kind of screwed me over. I'm just pretty down about this right now. And then people in the comments will be like, you know what? That is absolutely horrific. When you do find the proper manufacturer, let us know and we'll buy those claw clips or whatever you're selling. But at the end of the day, what do you think about pity marketing? Have you ever given into pity marketing yourself? Have you ever done it yourself? If you are a small business owner, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you dislike it, and I'll see you in the next one. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one on small businesses next.